Gunners supporters, blows his whistle. George Moncur steps up and scores! Bottom corner of the net. The goalkeeper was very close, and it's John. He lets in a low cross, and that's been turned in. And Leyton Orient are back on level terms. Here comes to James. He shoots. Oh, and a goal from Tom James. That was a volley, and that was right. It's a low cross. It's an inviting cross, and it's been turned in by Theo Archibald, and he celebrates in front of the travelling faithful.
Happy New Year and welcome to Orient Live. We're here in the E10 studio. We've got the first fixture of the year to bring to you as the O's are facing Northampton Town on the road, and we're looking to pick up our first 3 points in a couple games. I'm sure we'll be able to do so, and I'm joined in the studio by Andrew Butler and Jabbo Ibrahim to look over all of the action today. And boys, it is a good opportunity, 2-0 nils. And hopefully we can see a couple more goals today and pick up all 3 points.
Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, after getting 2 draws and then, you know, if you get a win today, it would just be the icing on the cake of a good festive season.
It really would. And the problem, though, is that Northampton are third. If we can beat them, it'll extend the gap between them, and it will extend the gap, of course, even further to the automatic places. Yeah,
it's obviously impossible to go a day with plenty of fixtures in League Two and not look at the permutations for what a win for us today could mean. But obviously the results went kind of broadly speaking our way yesterday, so it's a real opportunity for us to extend that lead over to fourth. But I've got to be honest, this looks like probably one of the hardest games on paper that we're going to have all season. And I know we've said that about a couple of different games so far this season. I think about Barrow away earlier in the season and a couple of others. But Northampton away is a really, really tricky game.
Well, this team knows how to rise to the challenge, and the side this afternoon looks slightly different, but hopefully they'll be able to achieve the same results as we have earlier in the season. But let's take a look at how the O's are lining up against Northampton Town today. So, ever steady in goal, of course, is number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. In at right back, we have number 2, Tom James. Our first centre-back of the afternoon, 5, Dan Happy. The one wide man today is number 11, Theo Archibald. And in midfield is number 12, Jordan Brown, making only his second league start for the O's is number 13, Jaden Wareham. Potentially playing a slightly different role this afternoon is number 15, Idris El Mizouni. And returning to the side after Friday's 0-0 against Newport is number 18, the captain, Darren Pratley. Omar Beckles, number 19, joins Dan Happy at centre-back. And number 23, Charlie Kelman is in the attacking position with 32. Rob Hunt in at left back. And on the bench for the O's is Sam Sargent, Shadrach Oji, Paul Smith, Craig Clay, George Moncur, Jaden Sweeney and Stephen Duke McKenna. So a few changes in there, and Richie's obviously trying to utilise his squad here. He was very complimentary of Jaden Wareham on his cameo on Friday night. I'm glad I got the day right. It feels like only yesterday, to be fair. But Jaden Wareham will be the one that kind of I think we'll all have our eyes on, hoping he can do some magic.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's got a lot. You know, he's got kind of big shoes to fill in so much as we need to find goals from somewhere. Having had drawn 2 blanks in the last couple of games. Him coming into to the side, I have to say, surprises me somewhat, because I know Richie was complimentary about his performance on Friday. Looks like Drynan's missing out through illness, so we're not sure whether or not it's a completely necessary change that had to be made, or if Aaron's just out temporarily. So yeah, it's a big opportunity for him, and that's the way that he should approach the game. Seeing it as an opportunity and not like a burden that he has to get a goal, he has to stamp his authority, because it's going to be a tough game for him to come into, given he's not really had much of a look in so far this season.
Well, it's hard to tell how young Orient strikers will feel coming into a big game, making their debut, having to make an impact. If only we had someone we could, if we could ask their thoughts on how would Jaden be feeling today? This is a top clash. He played against Gillingham, but they were obviously, it wasn't as big a fixture as this. How do you think Jaden will be feeling this afternoon?
Well, hopefully he can pull on the experience he got when he played against Gillingham. This would be a different kettle of fish today's game. But he's very confident. You hear him speak. He's been itching for these opportunities. He's got the opportunity. Now it's trying to sort of kind of back that talk. But I mean, he's got the enthusiasm, he's got the hunger. He's confident with himself that he can score goals. And he's someone that I feel if he gets a run of game, but he has to earn the right to get those runs of games, he could do something.
Well, let's see if he can. And Richie has made the call to include Jayden in today's starting 11. So let's hear the gaffer's thoughts ahead of the game.
Gaffer, a couple of changes here today. You want to talk through your team?
Drinan ill, Soterio still ill. Paul Smythe, we've checked him. It's not as bad as what we first thought, hence he's on the bench. In an ideal world today, we bring him on, but we think he's capable of coming on for a little period of the game. But again, so we've got through this after today. We've got through that stage where for the next 6 weeks after today, then we're Saturday, and we get back to what I would call proper football, where we play, we rest, we prepare, and our preparation is on point. So this is the last of 3 games in 6 days, where at the moment the players are running on instinct. We've not trained obviously because you can't. We've obviously aware of this illness in the camp. So we crack on today. We want a positive result. We come here to win, not to get anything other than a win, because we know that the rewards for a win are huge. So I'm looking forward to just re-evaluating after this game and obviously concentrating for the rest of the season, where our schedule then is really, really good schedule.
Start for Jayden Wareham. He's just been patient this season so far, and I guess there's a real chance for him to stake a claim.
Yeah, it's been really difficult for him, but my conversations are, listen, we've done unbelievable in the first 20 games. We won't be able to keep everyone fit. Someone will get illness, someone will get suspension, someone will lose form, and that's when we need you. And it's great. He's coming in for the biggest game of the season. Should be a good atmosphere, good game today. So it's a massive opportunity for him.
We know it's going to be a physical battle against Northampton, so how important is it to have Darren Pratley back?
Well, no, the plan was always to rest Prats. Again, when you're a manager, you have to think long term. You have to plan 5, 6, 7, 8 games in advance. If you say to me today, you'll win the game, but Paul Smith will be out for 6 weeks, or you can lose the game, and we've got Paul Smith for the rest of the season, what do you think I'm going to choose? So we have to plan. You see, it's very easy to think, be very short-sighted. I think when managers are short-sighted and they think short-term, then okay, you can nick a few results in the short term. I think when it comes longer term, it'll bite you back in the bum, so to speak. So we're always thinking longer term. We've always got the health of our players at the paramount of our thoughts. And we crack on with what we think is a good team, come here to win the game.
A couple of goalless draws coming into this game. What do Orient need to do different to overcome a good Northampton side today?
Well, we had a disappointing night against Wimbledon, where we didn't react to the crowd really well, and then since then we've won 4, drawn 2. That's some response, okay? If we would have nicked in that last-minute equaliser against Newport the other night, we would have been buzzing. Clean sheet, solid performance, never in danger of losing, and that's what I concentrate on. Just because you've drawn 2 games, you don't get disheartened. We're a difficult team to beat. We've lost 2 in 23 games. Let's continue that mentality of being really difficult to get beat. And if you win, great. Don't get beat. We're in a position where today we don't need to get beat. And then we've got 2 home games after that, and then we can win them games. So no, I'm quite clear in my thought process.
Brilliant.
Some interesting stuff there from Richie Wellens, and let's stay on Jayden Wareham for a little bit. And they've touched on it there. It is going to be a physical encounter. It's him and Kelman as the strikers. How do you think they might work together? Might they be a pair? Do you think one of them could go out wide? It's hard to predict.
Well, I mean, sometimes when you come up against a physical team and they're going to try and be physically dominant against a striker, sometimes it's good to play shorter guys that run them the other way, because sometimes as a physical defender you want to just impose yourself and then you get into a fight. Now hopefully the science behind playing, if they play both up front, that they'll run them and take them beyond that, so they don't kind of get in a physical battle or get marked. They can just stay between the gaps of the defenders and take them back the other way, instead of being sort of imposed, and sort of when the ball gets played into their feet, they're going to be bullied by Northampton players. So having smaller guys, maybe you play down the sides of them more, maybe that might be a little.
And do you think Richie could be playing, not mind games, but he's trying to build Jayden up for this? He's obviously given him half an hour on Friday, and now he's openly said in his interview there that he's starting him in what is probably our biggest game of the season so far. So he's got a bit of pressure on him Jayden here.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I think Richie's spot on in terms of the assessment of the season so far, but also the way that you have to approach these sort of periods of the season. Playing 3 games in 6 days is obviously a familiar thing for every single English league club to have to deal with. But at the same time, it doesn't become any easier because you have to just do it and you have to get on with it. But it does mean that you have to rest players like Pratley. You do have to see and accept that there will be injuries, and there's, as Richie said, there's illness in the camp, and so it's more kind of making good on what's available to us. And I think the way that he's used Jayden to bring him on with the view of using him in a game like today is actually it's I think it should be applauded. It's a bold move to go, actually we could have Newport is a winnable game, Stevenage is a winnable game, but both very, very tough. But to have the next game in mind and being able to use your squad in that way, I think is an important aspect of football. And so hopefully the kind of the half gamble that it was will pay off, because we're going to be needing some goals today to defeat Northampton.
And it is obviously a massive positive to hear from Richie there that the injury to Paul Smith isn't as bad as they first feared, or it could have been. He's on the bench. He's not starting, which is obviously a blow for the O's, but Darren Pratley coming back in is key today, especially with the battle that we expect with Northampton today. Yeah,
100%. He alluded to the fact that, he has to sort of protect players, and he's got a great squad to sort of utilise, which he's used in the previous games. And having Pratley back there, that's that security, that leader on the pitch in a game like today is going to be needed. And hopefully him and Brown there, they can just make it solid and allow the people in front of them to go win the game.
And it's an interesting one because there's no Moncur as well, who's another one that you'd maybe look to for a sprinkle of magic dust. But you've got Idris. Do you think his role might look slightly different today? How do you think him and Jordan and Dan will all line up together?
Yeah, I think actually going back to that Newport game, I think you can see how Idris El Mazouni might play today as well, because he was pushed into a more advanced kind of number 8/number 10 type of role against Newport, and it looks like, on paper at least, that's the way that he might be used this afternoon. And I think, we all know that Idris is such a good player. He's such a talented player, and I was really impressed with him actually on Friday night against Newport. Aside from, I don't want to mention it, but his opportunity that probably he should have buried and won the game with. But in terms of what he can provide, it's that kind of the late run into the box, the addition of another player to keep Northampton honest in defence. And so yeah, it'll be an interesting one for him to move into. Whether or not that means that that's going to be his longer term the way that he's going to be used remains to be seen, but I'm happy if it is the case that he's going to be pushed into a more advanced role. I'm happy with that.
And we've spoken obviously a lot about the changes in midfield and in the forwards, but the defence is what you'd probably say is the first choice defence and the one you'd want to be facing this Northampton side today.
100%. Like I said, the defence deserve the plaudits this season. They've been fantastic, and they know each other's games. They cover around well. They communicate well, and that is your go-to defence. And in a big game like today, you're glad that they're all fit, firing, and ready to go.
We've made a point of saying the last couple of games have been a bit shy of goals scored. We've also been shy of goals conceded for 445 minutes of football. In fact, 4 games without conceding Butler, and you can see why it's a deserved stat.
Yeah, absolutely. And the season will completely rely on the fact of keeping clean sheets, and keeping 15 in the first 23 games. Not even a million years would we have expected. And it's such a performance from a backline who've excelled and actually met every single question that they've been asked. They've answered, and so having the best defence in England is no mean feat at all after 23 games. And we're seeing on the screen just how good Omar Beckles and Dan Happy have been this season. Dan Happy, we've said quite a lot, has just grown into a player of remarkable consistency, and Omar Beckles provides that real confidence and experience at the back. So they've both been excellent, and obviously not forgetting the fullbacks, and of course Lawrence Figaro.
What's stand out for me here? One of the great quotes of one of the greatest centre backs of all time said, "If he has to make a slide tackle, then they've made a mistake." What we're seeing here is the positioning, it's the coaching, it's the setup. They're not necessarily having to throw their bodies on the line, but that's because A, they're such good players, and B, the defensive setup and the coaching is so spot on as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and as you grow in confidence, you get an extra step, you get extra speed of thought, and they're just getting into positions quicker. They're not dithering around. They're already there. They're reading it. They're smelling danger. If Happy goes, Beckles is there covering, and you can just see it in their play. And then when they have the ball, they're just starting attacks. They're so confident. It doesn't look like they're going to get caught on the ball or anything. And it's just a pleasure to see, and they keep growing with confidence each and every game.
Do you fear they might have a tougher test today, this back line, than they did against Stevenage and Newport? Stevenage offered nothing really, and Newport, we were maybe off our game slightly. So you fear today might be a little bit shakier.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to look at a couple of names on the Northampton team sheet to make sure that we've got to be absolutely on our game to win this afternoon. Because Sam Hoskins has got 15 goals in League Two. He's the division's top scorer. But then even on the other side of their front three, Mitch Pinnock's got 6 assists as well. So they're really firing. They're the league's top scorers, and they've got the league top scorer as well in Sam Hoskins. So he's a very, very good finisher. He's a very good player at this level. But at the same time, their defence has also been somewhat shaky too. So in terms of what we have to do in defence, we have to keep their front line quiet. I think we've been dealt a little bit of a favour. I know we'll come on to talk about Northampton a little bit, but their striker Josh Eppier is making his first league appearance for Northampton today. So the way that Northampton play, as we're seeing on the screen, though, is getting the ball out in those wide areas to those players like Pinnock, McWilliams, and Bowie, and getting balls into the box. The amazing thing about these goals is how many fall actually to the back stick and either get nodded back or finish from that position.
And Jabbo, Northampton's a team you've watched in recent weeks on your media duties with Carlisle, and you were impressed with them, and especially some of their individual talents, weren't you?
Yeah. I mean, the genuine threat at home. Away from home they're quite a solid side, but at home they can suck you into a false sense of security, then motor through the gears, and before you know it, they're cutting through you out wide, getting balls across the face of the goal, and Hoskin popping up in different pockets and being a threat.
And looking at some of these deliveries, looking at that play in and around the box, what we said about Happy and Omar having to be really on point with their positioning, it is going to be more important than ever against these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also as much a test for someone like Tom James and Rob Hunt, because those last two, like I said, are balls towards the back post, and it's where you're looking for your fullbacks to really be tight as well. So the defence has to be ultra organised. Again, another one, back stick, and actually in that case the defence just caught a little bit napping at right back. So we have to be completely alive to the danger that Northampton will provide this afternoon. But we've said this a couple of times this season that every question that's been asked of us when we've had really, really difficult games, we've answered them, and whether or not that's keeping a clean sheet against Stevenage. I know Stevenage didn't provide too much of an attacking threat as such, but it's still a big game. Going away to Barrow, winning that game quite handily. But this is a real test for us, and hopefully we can respond.
It certainly is a tough test, and there's a tough Northampton Town side that are standing in the way between the O's and 3 points. So let's take a look at how the Cobblers are lining up for this afternoon's fixture. In goal for Northampton is number 1, Lee Burge. You have number 2, Tyler McGloy. And you have number 5, John Guthrie. 6, Sam Sherring. Number 7, Sam Hoskins. 11, Mitch Pinnock. Number 12, Mark Leonard. 17, Sean McWilliams. Number 19, Kieran Bowie. Number 21, Josh Eppier. And 22, Aiken Odemayo. And on the bench for Northampton is Aaron McGowan, Ben Fox, Danny Hilton, Harvey Lintott, Johnny Maxted, Ryan Haynes and Max Dyche. So that is how Northampton Town are lining up for this afternoon's fixture. And how do you expect them to set up this afternoon, Andrew?
Well, they've been playing a kind of a 4-3-3 formation for much of the season, and they've got talent actually across all the pitch. We've already highlighted one, their main man, Sam Hoskins, in terms of the goals that he provides, but actually it's elsewhere on the pitch. The Mick Williams and Mitch Pinnock, who also can provide some decent attacking threat. It's going to be a really, really interesting game though, because actually Northampton at home this season haven't been as dominant as you might expect. They've only won 6 of their 12 games so far in the league at home, and they've drawn 3 and lost 3. So, in some ways, there's encouragement for us, because we're not particularly good against Northampton. I think it's fair to say. I think we've only won 1 of the last 14 in the league against them and that's going back. Well over, I think, 15 years or so now. So it's always something that I've got to be honest, I'm quite pleased to be here in the studio, Ollie, because I hate going there when you're a fan, but because we usually lose. But it's it will be tricky. But at the same time, this is the best team that we've had in many years.
Way to keep it positive there, Andrew. And obviously you visited there recently as well, Jabbo. And what was the side that you saw there? Did it make you a little nervous for the side we may face today?
I mean, there's a couple of changes in the side for today's game, but a couple of the main threats are still playing today. And on the day, Much Williams was different gear. He picked up the ball, would make good drives with the ball into the opposition's half, and it was just a threat. He's a danger. Mitch Pinnock came on and then put some dangerous crosses in on the day, and Leonard tried to dictate the play. So they're a good side, and I thought they were quite strong at home. But Carlisle on the day missed some good chances, and then Northampton grew into the game. So if we start on the front foot and start well, we can cause them problems.
And their form in recent games says that you don't really know what side might turn up. It's a win, lose and draw in their last 3. So anything could happen. Yeah,
I have to say that loss against Swindon a couple of days ago, that was their first in quite a while, and they've been in decent form to get to this point and get up to third in the league. However, it's such a strange time of year, really, given the relentlessness of these games coming thick and fast. So that it might be quite a good time to play Northampton, coming off the back of that loss against Swindon. Swindon played reasonably well, but they just took their chances and had their goalkeeper was in really, really fine form as well on Friday night. So given that, we are still top, and we're still clear of them by 10 points, which just goes to show kind of how dominant we've been so far this season. And actually, Northampton might feel a lot. They might come into this game thinking actually Orient have dropped points against Stevenage and against Newport. So this is a great time for us to play us, but for them to play us. But look at our league position and look at how far away we are from them already. And there's can't be much greater motivation to go and get 3 points than look at that gap between us and third or us and fourth and think, let's go and get the job done.
It would be nice to extend that lead with our final festive fixture. And of course, don't forget, you've got less than a week until our next game here in E10. And the O's are facing Doncaster. And the tickets for that is on sale now. So make sure you head to the website that is on screen and get yourself down to E10. Get behind the boys here at Brisbane Road. And hopefully we can see us extend that lead at the top of the table even further. And of course, don't forget, today's game is also available to watch for UK and international. That's worldwide. So you can pick up your streaming pass to watch along and get every second of the action here on Orient Live. And now, though, let's remind ourselves of how the O's are going to be lining up for this afternoon's fixture. In goal for the O's is number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. We have number 2, Tom James. 5, Dan Happy. Number 11, Theo Archibald. Number 12, Jordan Brown. Making his second league start for the O's is 13, Jaden Warren. Number 15, Idris El Mazouni. The captain returns. It's number 18, Darren Pratley. Joining Dan Happy at centre back is number 19, Omar Beckles. In the leading line is number 23, Charlie Kelman, and number 32, Rob Hunt completes the back line. And on the bench for the O's is Sam Sargent, Shadrach Oji, Paul Smith, Craig Clay, George Moncur, Jaden Sweeney, and Stephen Duke McKenna. Now, reading that bench out for the second time, that's kind of only just sunk in how much quality and magic we do have on the bench if we want to try and turn this game around. You've got probably, potentially, two of the best attacking players in the league in George Moncur and Paul Smith sat on the bench.
Yeah, I mean it's a credit to how well the team's playing. You know, you can leave those guys on the bench and go with the starting 11 we have. So, you know, hopefully we won't need them. They can get an extra rest, but you know, it's solid.
It is solid. Do you think this might be from Richie knowing that we need to be a bit more solid and need to hopefully... We've obviously kept 4 clean sheets. I don't think we need to be more solid, but today might be a game where we need to be solid.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just wondering who that was on the screen there, Ollie. But we do have to be solid, and we've shown that we can be solid in the last, 440 minutes of football without conceding a goal. I think against Newport there was that one opportunity that probably should have gone in for them, but we've been so resolute and we've been so hard to beat, and is exactly what Richie Wellens said before the game. You know, if you get yourself hard to beat and try and nick the win, I think that's the ideal situation for us this afternoon. And
we do want to nick the win. We do want to see some more goals, Jabbo. Looking at the last couple of fixtures, what do you think the O's need to do to try and get back in amongst those goals?
I mean, just keep doing what we're doing. We've had some good chances. We just have to be ruthless with those moments. You know, people have had the opportunities to bury it, and we've just been a bit like lackadaisical at times, and not that ruthless streak to bury it, and that belief that I really want to score this. So if we get the chance today, hopefully we can just punish them.
Well, it's a massive fixture that could go either way, and hopefully the O's can kick their year off with a bang. And now it is time, of course, to hand over to our very capable hands, the match commentary team of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
Happy New Year, and what a way to start 2023. Leyton Orient and Northampton Town, two sides in the automatic promotion places. 10 points separate these two sides. Happy New Year, Matt. Did you have a good one?
Absolutely, Dave. Orient sitting top of the league, and they will be whatever the outcome this afternoon. Fantastic atmosphere building around Sixfields, I have to say, really rocking.
Yes, it's a ground of just over 7,000 capacity, but there isn't a spare seat away to our right where the travelling fans are situated.
Tremendous support, and they're here for the big game. It feels like a big game. It's got that feel.